In this video, I'm going to talk about organizing your Cinema 4D project with layers. So we've been working with the Attribute Manager over here, and to the right of the Attribute Manager, there's actually two tabs: Attributes, which we've been looking at, derp, and Layers. So if you click on the Layers tab, you'll see this. Now we have the Layers Manager. So how do we do this? Well, I made this little scene here with some various objects in it to demonstrate this. And there's a couple ways to make a layer. I'll demo a few of them. Click on the object and right click, and we can come down to this option, Add to New Layer. And the new layer will appear here, and we can name the layer if we want to. For this demo, I'm not going to, but for your projects, I suggest you name every layer. Okay, so I have the cylinder, designated into this layer. So the cylinder has this purple little box next to it, and it's color coded with the layer that it's in. So let's take a look at these various options here. We have all these letters going across here, and these icons. So S stands for solo. So I'll back up here. So if I click on this, if I click on this icon underneath solo, take a look what happens. Everything in the scene disappears except for the objects within the layer. So they're not deleted. They're just not visible. The next one is visibility. So if I click on this icon, any objects within the layer are no longer visible. Again, as you know, I'm sure you know that they're not deleted; they're just not visible. The R stands for render. That means if I disable this, any objects in this layer will not render. And this one, M stands for manager. So again, if you look up in the manager, the object manager, if I click on this, the object disappears from the object manager. Okay, so why would you want to do all this stuff? Because you're going to have like extremely complicated projects with lots and lots of objects. So sometimes you'll want to just isolate one object, or take an object out of view. And even in your object manager will get very complex. So it'll be helpful to take certain objects, out of the object manager's visibility. These icon here, L, stands for lock. So if I click on that and enable that, so it's blacked out, all objects within this layer are now locked, and I can't do anything with them. I can't move them, can't edit them, etc. These other ones I'm going to talk about later. So another way to make a new layer is if you just double click in the layer manager, and now I can, let's say I got this cube, and I got here, let me select it and move. I got this cube and this little cube as a child of it. So if I grab cube, click, hold, and drag, and drop it into this new layer I just made, we see here that the cube is now in this red layer, but it didn't get the child. Okay, so that's normal life. Now I could click, hold, and drag the child into the layer, and life would be okay. Let me Command Z. What you can do, if you have an object with children, and you want the object and children all in the same layer, you can hold down Command on the Mac or Control on the PC, click, hold, and drag into the new layer, and now the object with the children are in that layer. Lastly, I got this other object that has a deformer applied to it, and a subdivision surface applied to it. So let me make a new layer, and I'm going to grab this complex object, hold down Command, click, hold, and drag it into this new layer. So all this stuff, the subdivision surface, the editable object, and the deformer are applied to it. So over here in the down in these icons, I forgot to mention one. A is for animation. If I click on this icon, anything in the layer will not be animated. But since we haven't done any animation in this course yet, that's kind of a moot point. Okay, so anyway, so I got this complicated object. So if I go over to G, that stands for generator, and if I click on this icon, the generator is turned off. In this case, it's a subdivision surface. So that's really, really handy to use. Okay, so that will toggle on and off any generators in the layer. The next one is D for deformer. This will toggle on and off any deformers in the layer. I have a twist applied to this object, so if I disable it, the twist is disabled. E and X are regarding programming and coding that you can do within Cinema 4D. There's a part of Cinema 4D called Expresso, which is like a visible coding interface. I don't use it much, and we won't be using any coding within this course. But anyway, it has to do with animation, that you can do some complex animation things, and you can disable those things. A lot of these, like enabling and disabling these when you render, if you only want to render one object and you want to see what it looks like, and you don't want to go through the render time, it helps. And then when you get into animation, likewise, you want to see maybe what 30 seconds of animation looks like, and you don't want everything. You don't want to wait for the render for everything to animate, so you can toggle these on and off. Anyway, so I highly recommend that you use layers in your projects. They're really, really handy. And I'd suggest review the first part of this video so you can see what all these letters mean. Once you start using them, you'll find how much easier it makes managing your project.